In this video, we're going to look at some of the different ways of setting the project tempo. I think it's time to save a new version of this, so I'm going to select all, go Command A, and hit delete. And of course, all these regions and files remain in our audio bin in case we want to revisit them. And I'm going to just hit the delete key here to get rid of these tracks. I'm going to leave that one track. And now let's go Save As, and I'll call this version 3. All right, tempo. There's lots of different ways. If you want to set one static tempo for your project, the easiest thing to do is just mouse slide up and down here in the tempo field in the transport bar and set it that way, or you can double click and enter it like that. Another way to set the tempo is in the lists area. You'll recall that we have a tempo list. If you click the list button, you can hide show the different lists and click on the tempo list to open that. And of course, there's a key command shortcut for that, and that's T for tempo. Let's hit I to close the inspector and give us a bit more room, and T, and we're back in the tempo list. So this is where you can create tempo events, and you can set it for the project globally at bar 1 here by just mouse sliding or double clicking and typing it in that way. And just a quick word about this position field over here. This is the same in the event list and even in these fields over here. The way Logic displays time positions is this. The first numeral is referring to the bar number. Then we have which beat in the bar, and then which division in the bar, and the division is set by this little area over here, and it's defaulting to 16th notes, meaning 16th notes is the division that it's reading from. And then this is the clock tick. You have 240 ticks per 16th note. So when you scroll this, it'll roll over at 240 to the next 16th note. Anyway, that's just a little digression for how some of these list editors work. So you set the tempo here. And you can create tempo events just by positioning your playhead. Let's say I use my forward key and I want to create another tempo event there. I can create it like that. But we're getting into more advanced things here which don't have to do with the actual basic project tempo. But this is how you can create additional events in the tempo list and then mouse slide them up like that. And you have up to thousandths of a beat per minute here by means of these 4 digits following the decimal point. And that's useful, you'll see, for when you're importing tempos from audio files and you can get really fine resolution. Now you can have alternative tempo lists, tempo maps, rather. So here we're on the first one. It defaults to the first tempo alternative, but you can get up to 9 of them. So you can create as many different tempo maps as you want and just toggle between them that way. And that's useful for, let's say you want to have a fast tempo and you want to record a difficult passage at a slower tempo. I often do this. Just slow it down like that, set a lower tempo. Play in the difficult part if it's MIDI, and then go back to the original tempo. So it's just an idea of how tempo alternatives can be used. And of course you can delete events like that. And you have tools here for basically selecting them, creating events with the pencil tool or erasing them with the eraser tool. But I prefer just using the create button. All right, so that's the tempo list. Now, I'm going to leave this open so we can see the effects in here for the next thing we're going to look at. And this is an area of the arrange window we haven't really looked at yet in global tracks. Now, these are tracks that run horizontally across the timeline in the top. And you can get to it by opening this disclosure triangle. And there are different areas of the global tracks that can be made active or inactive or visible or hidden. Now, I'm going to control click here. This is the quickest way to control the results of what's going to be displayed. And just click on tempo. And it's going to automatically remove the other choices and open just the tempo lane here. Optionally, I could hit the Option G command and get a Configure Global Tracks dialog box and choose which ones I want to view there. But for now, we're just going to look at tempo. And I can resize this by means of the resize handle. So here's another area you can set the tempo. You can just grab this line and move it up or down, and you'll see it reflected here in the tempo list if you change the tempo like that. And you can also use the pencil tool. I'm going to hit Escape and then 2. Because we see 2 is the number next to the pencil tool. And I can create events like that. And you'll see as I create tempo events, they're reflected in the tempo list here. And you can set the resolution for where you want them to fall in the bar, if you want them to be quantized or not, to 8th notes or 16ths or whatever, and then you can quantize them. There's nothing really to quantize now because they were set to 8ths, but if they were set to a larger value, we could quantize them down to fall on the grid. But anyway, again, we're digressing and getting into more advanced tempo operations here. The basic idea is that you can use this tempo global track to set the tempo. And again, you have the alternative tempo tracks here. So it's reflected there. There's the alternative list. Another way of manipulating them in the alternatives. Let's double click escape and go back to our pencil tool. All right, I'm going to hit G to hide the global track now. And we can go ahead and work like that. So that's it for this video. These are some basic ways of setting static default tempo events. I'm going to pick this up and continue in the next video and look at ways of bringing in tempo events based on audio files. So stay tuned, and I'll see you for more next time.